Right now on Morning News Now, under fire, mounting pressure in Washington this morning over the Justice Department's deluge of documents released on Jeffrey Epstein. Top lawmakers on both sides of the aisle now calling for legal action to be taken over the DOJ's rollout. This as President Trump himself weighs in for the first time since last Friday's deadline. We've got the latest. Also this morning, Jingle Bell Jump. Millions of Americans already hitting America's highways and skyways with just 2 days to go until Christmas. But Mother Nature isn't making it easy for everyone. Thousands of airport delays piling up, all thanks to some positively vicious weather in several states, including right here on the East Coast, where snow and rain are snarling trips in major cities this morning. We've got your full forecast as that record-breaking rush kicks into high gear. Plus, billionaire dreams this holiday season, that massive Powerball payout eluding yet another lucky winner overnight. And the pot just keeps getting bigger and bigger ahead of tomorrow's drawing. So how much could you wake up to on Christmas morning? We will crunch those numbers and your odds of hitting it big. And later in the hour, AI's Super Bowl debut with a brand new ad that's already stirring up controversy before the playoffs even begin. Good morning and thanks for joining us. I'm Jessica Layton in for Joe and Savannah today. Well, the Epstein files are still making waves in Washington this morning, despite Congress and the president having gone home for the holidays. President Trump responded to the continuing controversy from his Mar-a-Lago estate yesterday, saying that a lot of people are angry that pictures are being released. This as lawmakers on both sides of the aisle are now calling for legal action against the Department of Justice for not releasing the full files, with thousands more yet to be made public. And now, former President Bill Clinton, who was featured prominently in the batch of files released over the weekend, is weighing in. There's a lot to get to. NBC News Washington correspondent Alice Barr joins us now with more on their comments and the latest from the nation's capital. Alice, good morning.
Good morning, Jessica. Pressure is certainly mounting on the Department of Justice from lawmakers and survivors of Jeffrey Epstein's abuse, with new calls for legal action over how the DOJ handled the initial document release. As lawmakers head home for the holidays, many lobbing parting shots against the Justice Department for not releasing the full files on sex offender Jeffrey Epstein by last Friday's deadline set under the Epstein Transparency Act. The Senate's top Democrat bringing up a resolution for legal action against the DOJ for what he called its, quote, blatant disregard of the law in its refusal to release the complete Epstein files, and accusing the Trump administration of hiding the truth.
This whole thing is with Epstein is a way of trying to deflect from the tremendous success that the Republican Party has.
President Trump voicing frustration over the continued controversy.
I thought that was finished. I believe they gave over 100,000 pages of documents.
So far, though, less than 10,000 documents have been made public, and there are heavy redactions, with close to 700 pages entirely blacked out. The Justice Department says it's necessary to protect victims. NBC News legal analysts saying a judge would likely grant an extension on the file's release.
But I think here, when we're looking at this from the public perspective, outside of the courtroom, there's reason to have skepticism. It's really the way that this is played out over time.
Former President Bill Clinton now joining calls criticizing the process. He's appeared in a series of photos that his spokesperson called selective releases, implying wrongdoing against someone repeatedly cleared. Now urging the Justice Department to release anything that remains related to the former president to promote transparency over insinuation. President Trump said he didn't like the photos of former President Clinton being posted, arguing that many people are appearing in images that never did anything wrong tied to Epstein, and that they're angry about it. The president himself has appeared in some photos, including one that was removed and then reposted. The DOJ says to protect women who were also pictured. Jessica.
And Alice, the Washington Post has some new reporting on a second batch of documents being posted and then removed. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so the files were downloaded by the Washington Post and have not been independently reviewed by NBC News as of this morning. According to the Post report, the documents include wide-ranging mentions of President Trump, including tips collected by the FBI about Mr. Trump's involvement with Epstein and parties they threw in the early 2000s. President Trump has not been accused of wrongdoing related to Epstein's crimes. The Washington Post reports this new batch of documents disappeared from the DOJ website within just a few hours, and the Justice Department did not respond to multiple requests for comment. Jessica.
All right, Alice Barr, thank you so much. For more on all of this, let's bring in NBC News legal analyst Danny Savalos. Danny, good morning. Wow, a lot to cover right there. Let's start with what Alice just touched on, the DOJ removing that second batch of photos. How do you think that makes the department look?
Bad, but according to DOJ, the reason they released and removed it was to confirm whether or not there was something that should have been redacted. And here's the thing. DOJ is not an agency that's designed to release documents. They're designed to do the opposite. Their normal policy is reveal nothing during an investigation and hold everything tight to the vest. So with this many documents, we're talking terabytes of documents that presumably a human has to look at every single page and make a decision about redaction. There are going to be mistakes. Has this DOJ made mistakes? Absolutely. But I do wonder, could anyone do this without making mistakes? Because ultimately redaction, and I can tell you this as somebody who often asks for documents from DOJ, redaction is in the eye of the beholder. And people at DOJ are going to err on the side of caution, and caution equals redaction.
Well, let's be clear here, though. Some of those documents looked like zebra stripes with how white and black they were. There was certainly a lot of redaction in there.
Oh, yeah.
The Justice Department said on Saturday that they did not release all the files by Friday's deadline because the materials are being, quote, reviewed and redacted consistent with the law. What are they looking for?
Yeah. They're looking for, obviously, according to DOJ, any of the grounds for redaction. And by the way, we talk a lot about victims, but there are actually several statutory grounds for withholding documents. And it sort of tracks the laws of FOIA. Not exactly, but generally, it can be anything that pictures abuse. It could be something that relates to an ongoing investigation. That's a very big tent. Anything that relates to an ongoing investigation. DOJ is an agency that does nothing but investigate. So something could tangentially be related to an investigation. So there is a statutory list of what they can withhold. And if it's true that they released documents accidentally and brought them back in to look at them and make sure that there is something that they are okay to release, that's possible, but it certainly doesn't look good.
Well, and what do you think happens if they continue to withhold files from the public? How long can they actually do that for before Congress steps in and says this is not in accordance with the law?
You've seized on the great philosophical dilemma of redacting. How do we know what we need and what we're entitled to if we never saw it in the first place and never knew it existed? This is what criminal defense attorneys and civil attorneys confront every day in discovery. The documents are in the possession of DOJ. They get the first pass on what's redacted. As you pointed out, when you get a zebra-striped piece of paper, how do you even know whether or not you have a right to what's behind that mark? Even if you're given a description of the reason for redaction, that doesn't tell you or give you a basis to even make an argument. And here's the worst part. The statute, passed in Congress's infinite wisdom, contains virtually no enforcement mechanism. There are no penalties, no jail, no fines, no nothing. The best probably people are thinking about now is contempt. But that is not an easy path.
Let's be clear, though. When America sees a page that is almost all black, it seems like there's something that someone's trying to hide, does it not?
Yes, that's exactly what redaction is. Redaction is for the purpose of hiding. The question becomes, and you mentioned the zebra stripes, but there are some documents that are just the entire page is black. I would use up an entire cartridge of printer toner if I printed 4 or 5 of these pages, so I won't. But they're out there, and presumably those are photos, because otherwise they would do it by line.
Right.
But you're right, we don't know. So how can we demand more or more information about that which we're presumably not entitled to demand more information about? Again, this is the conundrum of discovery and redactions that lawyers face every day. I feel my pain, is what I say.
I feel it. Danny Savalos, thank you so much for joining us today. A private plane in Colorado avoided a near catastrophic accident mid-flight after the pilot became incapacitated and a breakthrough piece of technology then took control. We're being told it's the first ever emergency landing involving a private plane and the automation that's designed to take over when a pilot is out of commission. It all happened as the plane was approaching Denver metro area. NBC senior correspondent Tom Costello has this amazing story.
It happened Saturday afternoon in Colorado.
Pilot incapacitation.
2 miles south of Kilo. Emergency auto land in 19 minutes on runway 30 right at Kilo.
A computerized voice breaking over the radio, alerting controllers at Rocky Mountain Metro Airport in Broomfield to an inbound emergency. The computer transmitting which runway the Beechcraft Super King would land on, then counting down as it approached.
Emergency auto land in 9 minutes on runway 30 right at Kilo.
Immediately, the controller at the busy regional airport vectored other planes away from the inbound emergency.
The computer is estimating to be on the ground here in a few minutes, and they are doing auto land procedures. We are expecting them to kind of stop on the runway.
The system called AutoLand is made by Garmin.
It automatically activates if it senses the pilot isn't responsive, or it can be manually activated by passengers.
Garmin says Saturday's incident is the first time it's been used in a real emergency.
AutoLand takes complete control of the aircraft. It searches airports for the best option for landing.
A system that will automatically take over the aircraft and land it in the event of a pilot incapacitation. And so it does everything, including looking at the wind, and then it positions the airplane using the autopilot to land on that runway. It extends the landing gear, it extends the flaps, and it broadcasts repeatedly what it's doing and its time until touchdown, so that everybody involved knows where the airplane is and what it's going to do. And it lands the airplane.
Emergency auto land in less than 1 minute on runway 30 right at Kilo.
The plane had left Aspen earlier in the afternoon and reportedly suffered a pressurization issue in flight. The FAA tells NBC News the pilot had lost communications with air traffic control.
The airport is currently closed. We're not sure in ETA on when it's going to be back open.
North Metro Fire Rescue tells NBC News units followed the plane as it landed, but the two people on board shut down the engine and walked off, requiring no medical attention. While commercial airliners have two pilots in the cockpit, most private planes don't. Garmin says 1,700 planes are now equipped with AutoLand, offering a new level of safety for passengers if a pilot is incapacitated. Back to you.
Our thanks to Tom Costello for that report. The holiday travel rush is now going full blast this morning with Christmas Eve only 1 day away. The TSA says the nation's airports could see a record number of passengers through its checkpoints this year. But even Santa and the reindeer may have to prepare for the elements, especially in parts of the West Coast. Weather already creating problems just 2 days ahead of Christmas. NBC News correspondent Shaquille Brewster is in Chicago with all the latest on this. Shaq, good morning.
Hi there, Jessica. How are you?
I'm doing great, Shaq. Good to see you. The peak holiday travel crunch is expected to come today and tomorrow. So what can you tell us about delays and cancellations happening there this morning?
Well, I'll tell you, so far, so good here at Chicago's O'Hare Airport. You mentioned we're just 1 day away from Christmas Eve. We are right in the middle of what's expected to be this record-setting holiday travel period. It is certainly busy. You see the folks behind me. It's certainly busy here, but I'm glancing over at the TSA security screening lines. It's not that congested. The sign at least says about 5 minutes, though the line suggests it could be a little bit longer than that. Airport officials are saying the peak for air travel will actually be on Saturday. That's something that you're seeing both in Chicago and at TSA. TSA warning that for this travel period, they may be screening more passengers than ever. So we keep saying it. You keep seeing these records. Folks are wanting to go out and travel, and that's despite airline prices, according to AAA, being about 7% higher than they were last year, Jessica.
Shaq, while flying is drawing millions of passengers, most Americans will actually drive for year-end trips. That's according to AAA. Yeah. What do you think is making the roads so appealing this time of year?
Well, I think, roads are usually more congested. It's usually where people travel to, or the way they travel to their destination compared to flying. When we looked at those AAA numbers, they're estimating about 109 million people are hitting the roads during this holiday travel period. And remember, it's not just Christmas that's coming up, but we also have New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. So it's an extended period of travel for folks there. You ask what could be more appealing? Well, look at those gas prices. numbers. Gas is cheaper than it was around this time last year, averaging below $3 a gallon. That's certainly lower than what we were talking about around the Thanksgiving holiday as well. So if people aren't flying, they're definitely going to be hitting the roads again. AAA estimating a record number of people traveling for this holiday travel period.
And Shaq, as someone who does your own fair share of traveling, what tips do you have on how folks can make their upcoming plans as smooth as possible in these coming days?
Well, look, my tip is always show up early, especially around these holiday period. When you're talking about record number of people coming to the airports, make sure you get here early. But we did ask some experts as well. We'll pull up some of their tips on screen right now. They also suggest that you check your flight status before you leave the airport, or I should say before you leave for the airport. Whenever there's those delays, it helps avoid that extra time at the airport. You're not waiting around in case there is that delay. Take advantage also of those airport perks. Make sure you download the app for your airlines. If there's a change to your flight, airlines say it's usually easiest to rebook, and at least check those rebooking options using the app. And you see that last one there. We don't always hear this one, but it's very important. Bring your portable charger. When things get congested, it's sometimes hard to find a place to charge that phone, and you want to make sure it's charged so you can follow any updates from your airline.
That is a great tip. Shaq, thanks so much. And now let's get to meteorologist Ryan Hanrahan. He's tracking the trouble on both coasts this morning. Ryan, hey there.
Hey, good morning, Jessica. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, we've got two issues that we're tracking across the U.S. The first is some snow in the Northeast and New England. We also have a system out to the west that's bringing some heavy rain and some flood concerns to California especially. So in terms of air travel today, some issues out towards San Francisco and also in the Northeast, New York up to Boston, maybe Philadelphia with some snow and a little bit of rain. Along the highways, if you are driving to wherever you need to go for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, definitely some issues across the Northeast and New England along the New York State Thruway, up I-95 toward Boston and especially up into Maine and also back to the west. Most of the country, though, the central part of the country, pretty quiet. We'll talk about that in just a second. So let's start with the storm in the Northeast. Winter weather advisories in effect from the northern suburbs of New York City up through upstate New York and also now across portions of Maine from Portland up to the mid-coast. A winter storm warning in effect. Quite a bit of snow expected across portions of Maine later today and tomorrow. So a little bit of snow in New York City right now. The snow is coming down at a heavier clip just north of town. This snow is going to overspread southern New England as we go through the day today. Total snowfall accumulations generally pretty light down toward Connecticut, New York, and New Jersey. But once you get into northern New England for the ski areas and up across portions of Maine, quite a bit of snow. Could be close to a foot in spots. Now, out west, we've got a much more substantial system moving into California. There definitely is going to be a threat for some flooding, particularly tomorrow in Southern California. Some very heavy rain for Christmas Eve expected. Some areas could see as much as a foot of rainfall in some of the mountains around Los Angeles, and that is going to provide a flood threat. So for today, the flood threat's a bit more muted, a marginal or a slight risk for flash flooding across central California, but by tomorrow, especially around Los Angeles, an unusual high risk for flash flooding, a pretty dangerous situation with the potential for some mudslides, Los Angeles, San Bernardino, on west towards Santa Barbara. So busy in terms of weather across both coasts, but the central part of the country, really, really quiet, Jess.
That's the place to travel to.
Yes, absolutely. Chicago's good.
All right, Ryan, thank you so much.
Welcome.
Well, you may not get a white Christmas this year, but what if I told you there's a chance of life-changing winnings on Christmas Eve? Once again, there were no winning tickets pulled during yesterday's Powerball drawing. So that means the estimated jackpot for Wednesday night is now expected to be $1.7 billion. It marks the fourth largest in Powerball and U.S. Lotto history. In fact, there's only been one winner of the Powerball jackpot on Christmas Eve since it started back in 1992. The game says this will also set the all-time record for the most drawings in a Powerball jackpot cycle between winners. It has an estimated cash option payout $781 million. More to come on this hour of Morning News Now, including a holiday check-in for your mental health, how to support someone close to you who may be struggling with an eating disorder while gathering at the dinner table this week. But first, after the break, the road to recovery at Australia's Bondi Beach, an update on the conditions of two police officers wounded during that deadly attack, now being hailed as heroes. Their stories are next. Welcome back. In news from overseas, Russian investigators say they suspect that Ukrainian special services could have been behind yesterday's car bomb attack that killed a top Russian general in the heart of Moscow. Ukraine has not yet commented. NBC News intelligence reporter Dan DeLuce joins us now to talk more about this. Dan, good morning. So if confirmed, this wouldn't be the first time Ukraine assassinated a Russian general on Russian soil. What more can you tell us about the attack and what we're now hearing from the Kremlin?
That's right. This is the third attack on a Russian general in or near Moscow in a car bombing. And the images after this attack showed a white car heavily damaged. Authorities were saying that they thought the explosive had been placed beneath that car. Russia is saying that they suspect that Ukrainian security services were behind this killing. Ukraine is not commenting on this, but they have, in the past, taken responsibility for attacks inside Russian territory, sabotage attacks, and the like. And so this is really possibly another example of Ukraine being able to reach deep inside Russian territory and really signaling to Moscow that they're not going to shy away from doing this kind of thing if Russia keeps shelling and bombing Ukraine.
Well, as you well know, the U.S. efforts to end the Russia-Ukraine war have really intensified over the past few months, spearheaded by Secretary of State Marco Rubio and President Trump's top envoy, Steve Witkoff. I know you have some new exclusive reporting about how both men aren't seeing eye to eye on a variety of issues. Can you tell us more about what you're learning from your sources?
That's right. We spoke to more than a dozen officials in and outside the government and in Europe. And what comes across is that Witkoff has a tendency to embrace or support proposals coming from Moscow. He tends to focus on trying to put pressure on Ukraine to make concessions. And he often is causing concern in the State Department because he doesn't always let everyone know his travel plans. And so there's a sense in the State Department among some officials that he's trying to sort of operate as a solo diplomat and not really consulting with or collaborating with Rubio. And Rubio has a different point of view about how to end the war.
And what are we hearing from Rubio and Witkoff themselves about all of this right now?
Well, Secretary of State Rubio insists that there is no rift here, no divide over policy, that they get along very well and see eye to eye and are singing off the same sheet. And Witkoff's office referred us to the White House, and the White House said the same and also said that any concerns about having a lax attitude about security protocols were totally unfounded.
All right, Dan, thanks so much. There are new details out this morning on that mass shooting at Bondi Beach. New South Wales police released updated family statements on the two police constables who were injured in the tragic anti-Semitic attack. And we're happy to report that they had encouraging news to share. NBC News international correspondent Claudio Luvanga joins us now from Rome to take us around the world in 60 seconds. Claudio, good morning.
Good morning, Jessica. That's right. The families of those two officers who've been hailed as heroes for their role on the scene of the recent Bondi Beach attack have now released some more information about their recovery. And as you mentioned, it is good news. The family of Constable Jack Hibbert, who's lost his vision in one eye during the attack, said in a statement that he's now home from hospital, adding Hibbert will need space, support, and continued positive thoughts. Meanwhile, the family of Constable Scott Dyson, who had been in a medically induced coma since the tragic event on December 14th, undergoing almost daily surgery, is now awake for the first time. Let's go to Canada now, where on Monday, Prime Minister Mark Carney announced the name of the next ambassador to the U.S. The choice fell on Mark Wiseman, who in the past ran the investment fund of the Canada Pension Plan. His appointment comes at a critical time in relations between the two countries, as he will be involved in the review of their free trade agreement. And let's end this tour of the world here in Italy, where a familiar face was carrying the Olympic torch through the ruins of Pompeii. Yeah, it was Jackie Chan. The actor said it was a great honor to carry the torch because he says it represents the spirit of sport and humanity and carries a message of peace and love. The torch will be carried across Italy until it reaches Milan on February the 6th, where the Olympic ceremony for of course, the Winter Games will be held. Back to you, Jessica.
It will be here before we know it. Claudio, thanks so much. Well, coming up, the holidays can oftentimes mean gathering around the dinner table, sharing special moments with close family and friends. But for those who might be struggling with an eating disorder, this time of year can prove especially tough. So if you're feeling anxious or you know somebody who might be, we have some words of encouragement. Your weekly mental health check-in is next on Morning News Now. Staying on Health News Now with our weekly mental health check-in. This week, we're talking about people struggling with eating disorders during the holidays, plus one expert suggesting there's some science to the phrase time flies. Dr. Scott Lyons joins us now to help us break all this down and a little more. He is an integrative psychologist, the CEO of the Embody Lab, and the author of Addicted to Drama, Healing Dependency on Crisis and Chaos in Yourself and Others. Dr. Scott, good morning. Let's start with the eating disorders. We've been talking a lot on this show about this sensitive and very important topic. It's, of course, no secret that holidays can be a triggering time for people who struggle with this, all the food, all the drinks. Do you have any encouragement or suggestions for viewers who might be feeling anxious about all the food that's about to be served right now?
Yeah, I think, and good morning, happy holidays. 1 in 11 people in America will experience an eating disorder in their life, so this is a really important subject. And holidays are uniquely challenging because they're really organized around food and eating schedule and shared meals. And recovery is often built around structures, and holidays really disrupt timing and portion norms and predictability. So what routines can we really keep and focus on? It's also important that we don't pressure people to eat, and we can really focus on other rituals like relationships with family or playing board games. And I think it's really important to recognize that progress doesn't mean perfection. For those with an eating disorder, feeling activating and wanting to resort to old patterns doesn't mean something is failing. It just means that the holidays are amplifying unresolved dynamics around control and safety and belonging, and really reveal where compassion and support are still needed.
I love that. Now, when the holidays arrive, a lot of us finally get the chance to slow down. And that gives most of us time to think about, or even worse, fixate on the things that maybe they're not happy about. It could be work, personal relationships. What steps can our viewers take to help manage that stress and these thoughts at this time of year?
Yeah, so about 80% of adults report that mental health worsens around the holiday season. And that's because there's additional triggers like increased expectations, disrupted routines, family dynamics, loneliness and grief, financial pressures, all of those really compound. So some of the things we can really do is shift our objective from the holiday season being around peace to something more about it's about flexibility and capacity and really expanding our resilience to really not only deal with the stressors, but also take good self-care. We really want to protect the basics like sleep and meals and exercise. And we want to set boundaries early. So what have we learned from previous years that we can apply to this year? I love to bring a friend to the holiday party. It helps me feel more calm and settled. And, it's really important that while the holidays are around connections, we don't have to attend every gathering. We don't have to stay the whole time. We don't have to feel close to everyone or force togetherness. And the goal of the holidays isn't about perfection. It's really about protecting your mental health and choosing simultaneously what truly matters to you.
A good one for the moms to keep in mind right now. Finally, Santa will be here soon. And all week, my son has been saying he's taking forever. Meanwhile, I'm feeling like time is just going way too fast. I don't have enough time. And there's new research that shows that saying time flies, that there might actually be some science to it. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I love this topic. It's actually a big part of my next book, so I'm happy to talk about it. So one theory is why time feels faster as we age is it's actually kind of mathematical. So for a 5-year-old, a single year is only 20% of their entire life. But for a 50-year-old, it's about 2%. So each year literally takes up less space in memory, so it feels like it goes faster. But time doesn't actually speed up. That's just our perception of time that's altered by stress or capacity for focus or actually being stuck in routine. So another way of saying that is not having enough novelty in our life makes us feel like time is just speeding up and passing us by. So introduce small disruptions into your life, a new routine to work, new music on the holidays, new conversations for the holidays, or mindfully finding something new in old routines or rituals in the holidays. And all that will give you a sense of enhancement or feeling more present. So, like, aging isn't the problem as time is speeding up. It's really autopilot is. So find the novelty.
Oh, great. You've just made me aware of all of my problems with this. Dr. Scott, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Coming up, Super Bowl controversy before the head-to-head is even decided when Morning News Now returns. Why the expected debut of an all-AI ad is ruffling feathers off the field. We'll explain next. We're back with the latest on a controversial move by CBS to postpone a 60-minute story on Trump deportees being sent to an El Salvador prison. The new editor-in-chief there, Barry Weiss, pulled the report a day before it was set to air, prompting a lot of criticism from the correspondent behind the story. NBC News senior national correspondent Stephanie Gosk has more.
A battle at CBS News spilling into the public, with flagship broadcast 60 Minutes and new editor-in-chief Barry Weiss right at the center.
Did you think you were going to die there?
This segment on the inhumane conditions at a maximum security prison in El Salvador, where the U.S. government deported some undocumented immigrants, was supposed to air Sunday night. The promo even released on social media. But Weiss told show leadership to pull the segment late Saturday, in part because there was no interview with the Trump administration, according to a source at the network. Angry with the decision, correspondent Sharon Alfonsi emailed her fellow 60 Minutes colleagues, a copy of the email obtained by NBC News. Alfonsi writing in part, "The segment is factually correct. In my view, pulling it now after every rigorous internal check has been met is not an editorial decision, it is a political one." The veteran 60 Minutes correspondent says the story was cleared by editors after multiple screenings, and the Trump administration declined requests for an interview, adding in her email to colleagues, "The public will correctly identify this as corporate censorship." Weiss responding today, writing, "Holding stories that aren't ready for whatever reason happens every day in every newsroom." The conflict at 60 Minutes echoing a similar fight over a story about big tobacco in the 90s, made into the Hollywood movie The Insider.
Is it newsworthy? Yes. Are we going to air it? Of course not.
60 Minutes has been in the crosshairs of the Trump administration, the president mentioning the show as recently as Friday.
60 Minutes has treated me worse under the new ownership than they just keep treating me. They just keep hitting me. It's crazy.
Weiss says she looks forward to this important story airing, quote, when it's ready.
Thanks, Stephanie, for that report. And by the way, video of the segment did make its rounds on social media Monday afternoon after it apparently ran on a streaming platform owned by Global TV. That's a network that airs 60 Minutes in Canada. Well, moving from 60 Minutes to your Money Minute headlines, billionaire Larry Ellison is shaking things up in that heated TV tussle for Warner Brothers Discovery. NBC News business and economy reporter Emily Lorsch has your Money Minute. Hi, Emily.
Hey, Jessica. Good morning. That's right. Paramount has beefed up its bid. The company says now billionaire Larry Ellison, the CEO's father, has agreed to guarantee more than $40 billion. Netflix has also refinanced a portion of its planned nearly $60 billion of debt to sweeten its deal. WBD says the board will review Paramount's offer, but for now, it's sticking with Netflix. And Mercedes-Benz has agreed to pay nearly $150 million to settle allegations coming from a coalition of 50 attorneys general. They're claiming the automaker secretly installed devices in hundreds of thousands of cars that allowed them to exceed legal limits for nitrogen oxide that can cause respiratory illnesses and contributes to smog. Mercedes-Benz says the deal resolves all remaining legal proceedings, but that the company still considers the accusations unfounded and that it denies any liability. And finally, we're adding a little bit of time to today's Money Minute to look ahead to Super Bowl Sunday, but we're not talking about the game. This year marks a major shift in advertising, where artificial intelligence is no longer just a talking point. I sat down with Svedka's parent company, Sazerac, to talk about the vodka company's new AI commercial. Take a look.
Super Bowl Sunday, a night showcasing human might and skill. No, not just football. We're talking about those iconic Super Bowl commercials. We shall prevail. From the 1984 Apple Macintosh ad to Budweiser's tearjerker. But why deal with the real-life horse and puppy show when you can generate one? Yes, artificial intelligence is coming to the Super Bowl, not just in ads for tech like earlier this year.
When you're ready, tell me about the job that taught you the most.
But now, ads using the tech. Vodka brand Svedka will make its first ever Super Bowl commercial using AI to resurrect its 2-decade-old Fembot mascot in an $8 million media buy.
It allows us to respond real time and have her react once we have that AI established.
And while concerns grow that the technology is replacing human jobs, Svedka says that's not quite happening yet.
It's required a lot more human handholding than other advertisements. So while it may be efficient in terms of agency spend, it's not necessarily cost efficient in terms of the resources involved in the production.
Did you spend less on this ad than you would have if you didn't use AI?
Probably. It'd probably be close, to be honest with you.
Svedka's parent company Sazerac is working with AI firm Silverside to make the ad. You may recognize Silverside's work from this Coca-Cola spot. The ad facing immediate backlash from viewers who found it soulless.
In this shot, we have a front plate that says some nonsense. 2 shots later, nothing to be found.
All of the heart and all of the storytelling is gone.
The end result is terrible.
It was hard to look at that. And then we looked at the real numbers behind and what consumers were saying and what the public was responding to, and it was one of the best ads they have ever done.
Despite the criticism, Coca-Cola tells NBC News the ads actually tested well, getting good scores in independent ratings.
It's the most terrible time of the year.
McDonald's Netherlands also testing the waters with this AI-generated Christmas ad. It was taken down after people called it inauthentic. The company admitting the parody was a miss without mentioning AI. 54% of companies are using AI in the creative generation of their ads, according to a survey of advertising executives.
We're able to take something that humans are doing as a dance in mid-December and have it live for the biggest advertising stage in the world by early February. That really is something that AI has enabled for us.
The advertising industry now in a major transition.
It's incredibly frustrating.
Sam Tung is a storyboard artist.
I'd be lying if I said, I hadn't heard of artists who had been called in to fix AI work on commercials, or who have clients who used to call them who are now telling them, we're going to just try to do it with AI.
Earlier this month, ad giant Omnicom announced it's laying off more than 4,000 employees. According to a spokesperson, the cuts are to remove duplicate positions and trim unnecessary management layers. But those watching the industry say it's a bigger trend.
The industry is going to, unfortunately, have a painful couple of months or years.
And as AI moves center stage on the ad world's biggest night, will viewers revolt or gulp it down?
Now, Svedka is the first company to promote the fact that it's using AI in its first Super Bowl ad, Jessica, but other companies could still come out of the woodwork as we head into Super Bowl Sunday. And quite frankly, some companies can actually incorporate AI and not actually promote it. So I think we'll just have to wait and see what happens as we head towards Super Bowl Sunday to see if other brands follow suit.
It'll be so interesting. That'll be really the big headline the day after when we talk about the commercials for one of the first times. All right, Emily, thanks so much. Sticking with football, a major shakeup is coming to the NFL's most dominant team over the past decade. The Kansas City Chiefs announcing yesterday that they'll be moving from their historic home field at Arrowhead and into a $3 billion domed stadium. The team also announced that move will bring them across state lines from Missouri to Kansas. But it's not the end of the road at Arrowhead just yet. The Chiefs will continue to play at Arrowhead since their new stadium isn't expected to be ready until the 2031 season. And while big changes may be on the horizon, the Chiefs CEO is promising what matters most isn't.
The location of Chiefs games will change, but some things won't change. Our fans will still be the loudest in the NFL. Our games will still be the best place in the world to tailgate, and our players and coaches will be ready to compete for championships.
For the latest on this, let's bring in Jesse Newell from The Athletic. Jesse, good morning. First, can you just walk us through how we got here?
Yeah, this has sort of been a border war over the last year or so, just because a sales tax initiative, 3/8 of a cent in Kansas City, Missouri, Jackson County, where the stadium has been located, it failed last year, 58-42. That had both the Chiefs and the Royals on the ballot. And after that happened, the state of Kansas really got up and started to take its offer very seriously. So they approved what are called star bonds here in Kansas, and the potential to pay up to 70% of the stadium. It ended up being 60% of the stadium, but bipartisan agreement. Both sides of the aisle wanted to come together to bring the Chiefs potentially to the state of Kansas, and obviously they got the job done here with yesterday's announcement, and the Chiefs officially moving to Kansas starting in 2031.
So if Kansas is able to lure the Chiefs across the river, in addition to those star bonds and the tax you mentioned, was there anything else that they offered? And by the way, is this a done deal?
Yeah, it is a done deal. The big announcement was yesterday, obviously, was at the state capitol in Topeka, and there were Chiefs flags everywhere. Not something you're used to seeing in Kansas. 60% of the stadium will be paid for by these star bonds, which are collected from future sales tax generation in that district in Kansas. So that'll leave about $1.6 billion to the Hunt family, which owns the Chiefs. But the other potential for this is for it to be big and for it to be something that brings people to the area for generations. The thing about that is a Super Bowl is one potential. I know the Chiefs are expecting to have a Super Bowl in Kansas City. I know that sounds kind of weird in February for the weather that we have around here, but that's one of their visions, is to be able to have a Super Bowl and also other big events like Final Fours, potentially the college football playoff. And so the potential to bring that was not there for a renovated Arrowhead Stadium. It was built in 1972, and outdoors is not going to play the part for that sort of thing. But for a new dome stadium in Kansas, now they're thinking big.
What are you hearing from the fans in all this? We know that Arrowhead Stadium is the third oldest stadium in the NFL. It's been the Chiefs' home for over 50 years. There's a love story between Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift that kind of started there. I'm just curious how ticket holders feel.
Yeah, it really is split. And this is sort of different for the Chiefs, because the one thing that's brought people from Kansas and Missouri together has been the Chiefs over state lines. And right now, it's something that separates them. Like you said, there's so much history with Arrowhead Stadium. It was the third oldest stadium, as you said, only behind Soldier Field in Chicago and Lambeau Field in Green Bay. And so this had the potential, they were going to renovate it to be one of the historic places in the NFL. But now the Chiefs obviously going to move and go into a newer stadium, one with more potential. But yeah, there are a lot of people hurt. Missouri tried to up its offer across the state lines, but in the end, this was just simpler for the people in the state of Kansas, because they only had to work, the Chiefs, with star bonds on that side. On the state of Missouri, they had to work with city government, with county government, with the mayor's office in Kansas City. And so all those things coming together were pretty complicated. The Chiefs chose the simpler option and the more grand option. And we'll see how this turns out in 2031 with some of these big events they expect to get.
So let's talk about the team itself for a minute here. Their franchise player, Patrick Mahomes, is obviously out for the season with that injury. The Chiefs will not make the playoffs this year after reaching the Super Bowl 5 out of the last 6 years. Do you see this team at a crossroads right now?
Well, I think they're looking in the mirror for sure. And this is a team that has had so much success. That's why both sides of the state line sort of gotten a bidding war for this team, is because it has been sort of the crown jewel of the area for so long. But you talk about Patrick Mahomes. He's the biggest part of this. If he can come back here to start week one from his knee injury, he's going to rehab as much as he can, as quickly as he can to do that. I still see the Chiefs as contenders in future years, obviously. But there are some things in the offseason they have to address. They have to look at roster-wise to figure out how they can get back toward the top of the NFL. This is the first year since 2014 they have not made the playoffs. So it's going to be sort of a different winter around here, around these parts. They're not used to not seeing their Chiefs in the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't know what you guys are going to do. Jesse Newell, great stuff. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Coming up, the airport worker who's adding a little soul to that stressful holiday hop. The saxophone serenades greeting passengers at one of America's busiest airports. That's next on Morning News Now. Welcome back. As millions prepare to navigate the busy airports during the Christmas travel season, one Southwest Airlines employee is trying to add a little music to people's holiday travels. Reporter Gage Goulding from our affiliate in Houston has this story.
If they can move that would be amazing. I want you to meet Hugo Clemente, someone that I'd say is pretty amazing.
I don't know if you want a shot of me throwing trash.
He's one of the guys and gals who stock Southwest planes at Hobby Airport in Houston.
We load sodas, snacks, any materials the flight attendants might need.
That includes his saxophone. You see, one day Hugo just decided he was going to serenade the passengers on the planes he's working.
I brought my sax thinking maybe I could brighten somebody's day. And I think the first little kid I saw with a big old giant smile on my face with a Christmas Carol, boy, that was it. I knew I was going to keep doing it.
And every time he pulls out that sax, the cameras aren't far behind, and the smiles stretch as wide as the wings on this 737.
She says, we have a surprise for you. I said, are we singing? She said, no, it's something better, and I think it's fabulous. He's so good.
In my heart, I'm just still a band nerd, you know, that just never got rid of his horns.
And just last week, he was able to surprise that one passenger who made him pick up that horn some 30 years ago.
I found out that my mom got moved from one plane to another before she left Dallas and was going to be on my plane. She just starts bawling, crying, screams back to everybody else in the plane, that's my son, that's my son. People, I think, are just caught up in how fast-paced our life is. It all stops for a minute. It just slows down for a second, and it's all smiles, all smiles. Everybody's happy.
Do you also get a bit of that too?
I get all of it. It's a little unfair because I feel so happy seeing other people happy. It gives me joy. And any musician knows the healing power of music.
I think there's a little lesson we can all learn from Hugo's look on life. We're all capable of sharing smiles with complete strangers.
Our thanks to Gage Goulding for that story. We are ending this hour with a true labor of love. Volunteers at a children's hospital in New York City spent their own money on thousands of dazzling lights and decorations to create this spectacular scene for young patients in recovery. NBC News New York digital reporter Kay Ingram takes us down the holiday hallway.
It's the sound of the holidays here at Memorial Sloan Kettering.
It's Christmas, what can I say?
Where adorable 9-year-old Noah can be found walking the holiday hallway for the very first time.
A lot of details, and like my favorite part, that they could put like trains, like there are a lot of trains like on the ceiling.
We've been here since October. I just want to make the kids and the people here happy on the holiday season. It's impressive.
From intricate light installations to a handmade carousel.
We got all the rides, we got the cyclone.
Right down to a replica of the Coney Island Boardwalk. There's no shortage of joyful sights to see.
Very beautiful, and I don't know how they built this, honestly, but it is pretty cool. But it has like all these houses, it's like a town.
Stretching the length of 3 city blocks, every inch is decked out.
30 years ago, there was this mechanic, and he took a toilet seat and put some lights on it, and he hung it on the door.
The elaborate display today, much different from how it all began 30 years ago.
We all say, you know what, we're all going to do something here.
This is a hospital-wide operation to bring joy to patients like Noah during the holidays.
Oh, that looks so good. Thank you.
Being able to bring some sense of normalcy to them.
Yeah, we're good.
I just wish he and all the people who getting treated here can just go back to their families. He's treating for Ewing sarcoma, which is pediatric cancer, and he's doing very well.
And there's even wall space for visitors to pen their own wishes. For Noah, it's simple.
I am Noah, and I wish a Merry Christmas.
Love it. Kay Ingram, thanks so much. That does it for this hour of Morning News Now, but the news continues right now. Good morning. I'm Jessica Layton in for Joe and Savannah today. Right now on Morning News Now, racing home for the holidays. A record number of Americans expected to pass through airports and hit the roads this week with just 2 days to go until Christmas. But severe weather is already messing with plans, with floods on the West Coast leading to more than 5,000 flight delays on Monday. And forecasters predicting more storms could be on the way. We'll bring you the latest from one of the nation's busiest airports, along with the forecast across the country to help get you home in time to open those presents from Santa. Also this hour, lethal strike. The Trump administration is intensifying its pressure campaign against Venezuela with U.S. strikes on another vessel in the Pacific overnight that they say was engaged in, quote, narco trafficking. The impact of these strikes and how the South American country is responding coming up. Plus, a new batch of files. The Justice Department releasing thousands of new documents connected to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein this morning. It comes amid mounting criticism over the department's delay in releasing all of them. President Trump's first public comments on the files, along with what is new in this batch, coming up. Also this morning, revolutionizing weight loss. The FDA approving a pill version of the popular weight loss drug Wegovy. It's the first oral version of a GLP-1 drug that's being brought to market. We'll talk with our medical experts about how well it works and the other companies that could follow suit. And later in the hour, seasonal serenade, how a Southwest Airlines employee is bringing smiles to passengers this holiday season with the soothing sounds of a saxophone and classic Christmas tunes. But we begin with the hour with new news from the Justice Department. A new batch of thousands of documents connected to Jeffrey Epstein have been released by the DOJ this morning. It comes amid mounting criticism of the department over the additional materials that they had yet to make public by last Friday's deadline, which was set by Congress. NBC News Chief Capitol Hill correspondent Ryan Nobles has the latest from Washington. Ryan, good morning. So what do we know so far about what is in the new batch of documents, and what's the DOJ saying?
So, Jessica, this is the biggest amount of documents that we've seen the Department of Justice release, but it's still a far cry from the full volume of Epstein files that we are still waiting for. Overnight, the Justice Department releasing another round of these documents, this time upwards of 11,000 individual files. These include more witness accounts, notes from investigators, and tips about President Trump's degree of involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. For example, in one new email dated from 2020, a U.S. attorney mentions discovering flight records that show Trump riding on Epstein's private jet, quote, many more times than previously reported. Another scan reveals a possible letter from prison where Epstein purportedly tries to reach out to Larry Nassar, the U.S. gymnastics team doctor convicted of sexually abusing hundreds of minor athletes. It's not known whether the letter was ever verified. Now, we should note that none of these new documents show whether any follow-up investigations took place or whether these tips were corroborated by anyone else. We've also reached out to the White House and the Justice Department for further comment. In the past, Trump has long denied wrongdoing, and the DOJ has said nothing in the files warrants the investigation or prosecution of any third party. But, Jessica, we are just in the beginning of going through all these documents, so we do expect to learn more as the day progresses.
And, Ryan, on that note, the Washington Post reported that the Justice Department posted the new documents to its website yesterday, only to remove them a few hours later. What do we know about what happened there?
The Justice Department hasn't really explained what happened there. Most of the documents appear to all now be back up online. And we should point out that the Justice Department also posted something on their X account this morning, kind of putting a caveat to some of the material that President Trump appears in, saying that there were a number of people that came in and offered up tips about President Trump that they say were clearly designed to hurt his election chances in the 2020 election, and that none of them were corroborated, but they're still releasing this material in the spirit of full transparency. We should note that some of the accusations that are made in some of these tips are pretty serious. But as always, President Trump has denied any wrongdoing as it relates to Jeffrey Epstein, and that would include any of the information that is revealed in these files today.
Well, you anticipated my next thought that we did hear from President Trump on the files yesterday. What else did he have to say about this?
Well, Jessica, he continues to just downplay the impact and the need for the release of this material, and he claims that it's just distracting from his agenda. Listen to how he responded to a question about the Epstein files yesterday.
I don't like the pictures of Bill Clinton being shown. I don't like the pictures of other people being shown. I think it's a terrible thing. A lot of people are very angry that pictures are being released of other people that really had nothing to do with Epstein, but they're in a picture with him because he was at a party, and you ruin a reputation of somebody.
So it's important to keep in mind that President Trump campaigned on releasing the Epstein files. Many of his supporters are the driving force between these files being released, behind these files being released, and there's still much more information to come. So this is just the very beginning of a process. And keep in mind that members of Congress have said that they believe the Department of Justice is not in compliance with the law that requires all these files to be released. At this point, they forecast that perhaps only 10% of the files have been made public. So there's still a lot more to come. Jessica.
Certainly. All right, Ryan, thank you. Now to the busy end-of-year holiday travel season. The TSA says the nation's airports could see a record number of passengers through its checkpoints. And while flying is popular, according to AAA, most Americans will drive for these end-of-year trips. But whether you are flying or driving, be on the lookout for severe weather. NBC News correspondent Shaquille Brewster is at Chicago's O'Hare Airport with the latest on this. Shaq, good morning.
Hi there. Well, we are just one day away from Christmas Eve, so whether you're hitting the roads or coming to an airport like this one, you can expect to feel that travel crunch. Here at Chicago's O'Hare Airport is certainly busy, but so far so good, as we're right in the middle of what's expected to be yet another record-setting holiday travel period.
This morning, the record-setting race home for the holidays.
I am surprised at how busy it is this early.
And the roads, rails, and skies are bustling. With Christmas just 2 days away, madness at many airports with lines stretching across the terminal. Holiday storms are already messing with plans as floods ravage the West Coast and more are now on the way.
Right now, there's probably about a foot of water.
The vicious weather impacting travel with more than 5,000 flight delays piling up Monday.
This is worse than yesterday.
Meanwhile, a deadly plane crash amid foggy conditions in Galveston, Texas, that killed at least 5 people, including a child, with 1 person missing and 2 survivors. The small plane belonged to the Mexican Navy, which was, quote, carrying out a humanitarian mission focused on specialized medical transport. This man was nearby when the crash happened, jumping in to help.
There was a lady in there crying, and so, sure enough, jumped in the water, went in, and took a little bit of time to move. There were some seats that had broken loose that were blocking her exit. Got those out of the way, got her out.
While the U.S. Coast Guard says the cause is under investigation, visibility was down to as little as a quarter mile amid the dense fog. It comes as the TSA says it's preparing for potentially more travelers than ever this season.
It's hectic right now.
Anticipating more than 44 million people at security checkpoints during the holiday stretch, warning the busiest day to fly will be Sunday, December 28th. But most Americans will be driving this year. And if you're hitting the road today, AAA says the best time to leave is before 10 a.m., the worst between 1 and 7 p.m. And experts say always be prepared before you head out.
Everyone should have an emergency kit in their car, and what should be in it is your cell phone charger. You also want some jumper cables.
And we say it every year around holiday travel. If you are flying, make sure you show up to the airports early. Give yourself that extra time. If you're driving, AAA is saying the worst time to drive today will be between 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. Of course, check the weather because that supersedes everything. Back to you.
All right, Shaq, thank you. And time now for the weather and how it could impact your plans. Meteorologist Ryan Hanrahan is tracking everything across the country for us. Ryan, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Jessica. Good morning, everyone. We've got 2 systems we're watching today across the northeastern part of the country and also out toward California. So up in New York and New England, we've got some snow out there. In fact, it's snowing around New York City and points north, and that continues through the day. Then out west, still pretty rainy. But for most of the country, travel is looking okay today with some really warm weather across the plains of the Midwest. Now, for tomorrow, that storm clears out of New England, so things are looking much better down the I-95 corridor. But out across the West Coast, we've got a big-time storm that'll be moving off the Pacific into California. The potential for some significant flooding from San Diego all the way up toward San Francisco. So as we take a look in the Northeast, we've got that snow, some heavier snow across northeastern Pennsylvania and upstate New York this morning. Snowing around New York City, the northern suburbs probably get about an inch or 2 of snow that extends up into Connecticut, interior Massachusetts. But the most snow is going to be across Maine, from Portland up through the mid-coast, 8 inches, maybe a foot of snow. So it will certainly be a white Christmas for portions of eastern New England. Now, out to the west, things today are mainly quiet from San Francisco down through Los Angeles, but it's a much different story tomorrow. This atmospheric river will be coming in off the Pacific, bringing in some very, very heavy rain and some really impressive rainfall totals across Southern California. And this has the potential to cause some pretty significant issues. Look at these rainfall amounts around Los Angeles, 5 to 7 inches of rain expected. And that continues all the way north into Northern California and up in the mountains. A tremendous amount of snow across the Sierra. 4 to 8 feet of snow for the higher terrain. So great news for the ski areas, but it is going to be problematic if you are traveling through any of those mountain passes. Now, as we take a look at the warmth across the central part of the country, really, really warm temperatures, 20 to 25 degrees above average. Record warmth expected in many towns and for Christmas Eve. Look at how warm it gets. St. Louis, 66, New Orleans, 74, Houston, 78. Even in the desert Southwest, Tucson, 74 degrees, and it's mild for later in the week. We'll see temperatures into the 50s across the East Coast and 70s down through South Carolina. So it is going to be a warm stretch for most of the country, but New England getting a little bit of snow this morning.
All right, but smooth sailing for Santa in the Midwest.
Yes, most of the country's looking really good, but the corner's a little bit problematic.
All right, Ryan, thank you.
Welcome.
This morning, the Trump administration is escalating tensions in the Caribbean again after it carried out another strike on an alleged drug boat. U.S. Southern Command says they killed one, quote, narco-terrorist. It comes as President Trump continues to ratchet up the pressure on Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro. NBC News senior White House correspondent Garrett Hake has the very latest from Florida. Garrett, good morning.
Hey, good morning. The president had some of his most threatening words yet for Venezuela's leader yesterday as the U.S. continues its pursuit of a massive oil tanker that had been bound for the country and overnight destroyed another small boat departing it, which the Pentagon says was smuggling drugs.
Overnight, another lethal strike. The U.S. targeting a low-profile vessel in the eastern Pacific Ocean at the direction of Secretary Hegseth, U.S. Southern Command posting, saying it was operated by designated terrorist organizations and one narco-terrorist engaged in narco-trafficking was killed. It comes as President Trump is intensifying pressure on Venezuela today amid new U.S. efforts to intercept tankers used to transport sanctioned Venezuelan oil.
We're keeping the ships also.
The Coast Guard remains in what the president confirmed was a, quote, active pursuit of the Bella 1, a tanker placed on a U.S. sanctions list last year. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem on Fox News says the administration is targeting those ships to force Venezuela's leader Nicolas Maduro from power.
We're not just interdicting these ships, but we're also sending a message around the world that the illegal activity that Maduro is participating in cannot stand. He needs to be gone.
The president on Monday issuing this veiled threat.
If he plays tough, it'll be the last time he's ever able to play tough.
This following the president's recent blockade on Venezuelan oil and deadly strikes against alleged drug boats that have killed more than 100 people. The campaign against Venezuela also squeezing the regime's biggest ally, communist Cuba, which imports 59% of its oil from Venezuela. The communist country's president blasting President Trump for having, quote, unleashed his pirates on Venezuela and warning of weakness in the island's fragile economy. President Trump addressing the seizures at an event unveiling what he says will be a new class of naval ship named after himself.
They'll be the fastest, the biggest, and by far 100 times more powerful than any battleship ever built.
The president went on to say that he is personally involved in the design of those new ships bearing his name, which will be more than twice the size of the largest surface combat ship that the Navy currently sails. The president says he hopes to see the first Trump-class ships built in 2.5 years. That's a very ambitious timeline for a ship of that size. Jessica?
Garrett, thanks so much. Well, there is big news this morning for those interested in taking one of those GLP-1 weight loss drugs. On Monday, the FDA approved a pill form of Novo Nordisk's Wegovy drug. Until now, it's only been available as a once-a-week shot. Novo expects the pill to be available starting in January. I'm joined now by NBC News medical contributor Dr. Kavita Patel for more on this. Doctor, good morning. According to a recent study, almost 12% of Americans have used a GLP-1 drug. Can you help us break down how big of a deal is this approval?
Yeah, Jessica, good morning. This is an incredibly big deal because up until now,
these FDA-approved obesity options really were limited to weekly injections. And we know that there are many Americans who really would prefer a pill, more comfortable with a pill. So this daily pill finally gives people a kind of an alternative. The injections are still there, but now we have an alternative that can unlock a treatment for, we estimate, as high as tens of millions or even more with obesity or overweight with additional chronic conditions such as heart disease. So this is an incredibly big deal, and it kicks off a new chapter in convenient dosing for patients.
Let's talk about how effective the pill will be compared to the shot, and what do we know about the cost?
Yeah, great questions. All right, so the pill is the same active compound as the injectable drugs known as Ozempic or Wegovy, which is semaglutide. So it's the same active compound, but you do have to take it daily in a higher dose, as high as up to 25 milligrams daily, which is many times over what an injectable dose is. And that's really, Jessica, to overcome some of the differences between a pill and an injection, which gets absorbed through your gut. The pill goes through your gut, injection kind of goes directly into your body and has a different mechanism of action. Same compound. And the pill form yielded, on average, about a 14% weight loss over 64 weeks in the trial. This is compared to a 15% weight loss with the injection. So slightly under, but overall, a pretty sizable weight loss, and something that shows that an oral pill at these higher doses can be comparable to the injections. And then cost. You asked an important question. So we don't have full details of the higher doses. We know that Novo has released details of a monthly cost of about $149 for a starting dose, which is about 1.5 milligrams orally per day. We expect that pricing might go up as the dosing goes higher. But keep in mind that I think all manufacturers of these drugs are trying to bring prices down. That's something that President Trump has also emphasized in recent negotiations.
What do we know about side effects from the pill, or any restrictions that people need to be aware of before they start?
Yeah, like all things, there's benefits and risks. So we know that there have been a very common symptom. I've seen it in patients with GI side effects, some incredibly extreme, pancreatitis and inflammation that can occasionally be fatal with the pancreas, all the way to nausea, vomiting, symptoms that people have actually cited for stopping the drug. Over half of the patients that start these drugs stop because of these symptoms. And so we do know that we see similar symptoms with the oral medication, especially at those higher doses. So again, most of us will likely start people at that 1.5 milligram oral dose. And then the key here is that if you've had a history of certain conditions, certain cancers, thyroid cancers in your family, it is likely going to be restricted so that you cannot use it. And the other limitation, unlike an injection, you're going to have to take this on an empty stomach, standing, and have to give yourself about 30 minutes after taking in some water and the pill before you start to eat something. So there are some limitations, but again, a big chapter that's kicking off where other manufacturers are likely to follow with some oral treatments.
And last question, if somebody is taking a GLP-1 shot right now, how easily can they go from the shot to sort of transitioning to the pill, or perhaps vice versa later on?
Yeah, great question. So we're trying to make sure that we are doing that dosing, and we're going to be looking to the manufacturer to look for recommendations. There hasn't been really a trial to show how you move people off one to another. So in general, what we try to do is that when we're switching to a different form or even a different drug, Jessica, we try to go at a lower form and then dose up, because not everything is apples to apples with the dosing, and the side effects could be different in different people. So that's definitely going to have to be tailored for each patient for their particular condition and what we're treating.
Great advice on a big breakthrough. Dr. Kavita Patel, thanks so much. More to come on this hour of Morning News Now, including a holiday check-in for your mental health, how to support somebody close to you who may be struggling with an eating disorder while gathering at the dinner table this week. But first, after the break, the road to recovery at Australia's Bondi Beach, an update on the conditions of 2 police officers wounded during that deadly attack, now being hailed as heroes. Their stories are next. Welcome back. In news from overseas, Russian investigators say they suspect that Ukrainian special services could have been behind yesterday's car bomb attack that killed a top Russian general in the heart of Moscow. Ukraine has not yet commented. NBC News intelligence reporter Dan DeLuce joins us now to talk more about this. Dan, good morning. So if confirmed, this wouldn't be the first time Ukraine assassinated a Russian general on Russian soil. what more can you tell us about the attack and what we're now hearing from the Kremlin?
That's right. This is the third attack on a Russian general in or near Moscow in a car bombing. And the images after this attack showed a white car heavily damaged. Authorities were saying that they thought the explosive had been placed beneath that car. Russia is saying that they suspect that Ukrainian security services were behind this killing. Ukraine is not commenting on this, but they have in the past taken responsibility for attacks inside Russian territory, sabotage attacks, and the like. And so this is really possibly another example of Ukraine being able to reach deep inside Russian territory and really signaling to Moscow that they're not going to shy away from doing this kind of thing if Russia keeps shelling and bombing Ukraine.
Well, as you well know, the U.S. efforts to end the Russia-Ukraine war have really intensified over the past few months, spearheaded by Secretary of State Marco Rubio and President Trump's top envoy, Steve Witkoff. I know you have some new exclusive reporting about how both men aren't seeing eye to eye on a variety of issues. Can you tell us more about what you're learning from your sources?
That's right. We spoke to more than a dozen officials in and outside the government and in Europe, and what comes across is that Witkoff has a tendency to embrace or support proposals coming from Moscow. He tends to focus on trying to put pressure on Ukraine to make concessions, and he often is causing concern in the State Department because he doesn't always let everyone know his travel plans. And so there's a sense in the State Department among some officials that he's trying to sort of operate as a solo diplomat and not really consulting with or collaborating with Rubio. And Rubio has a different point of view about how to end the war.
And what are we hearing from Rubio and Witkoff themselves about all of this right now?
Well, Secretary of State Rubio insists that there is no rift here, no divide over policy, that they get along very well and see eye to eye and are singing off the same sheet. And Witkoff's office referred us to the White House, and the White House said the same and also said that any concerns about having a lax attitude about security protocols were totally unfounded.
All right, Dan, thanks so much. There are new details out this morning on that mass shooting at Bondi Beach. New South Wales police released updated family statements on the two police constables who were injured in the tragic anti-Semitic attack. And we're happy to report that they had encouraging news to share. NBC News international correspondent Claudio Lavanga joins us now from Rome to take us around the world in 60 seconds. Claudio, good morning.
Good morning, Jessica. That's right. The families of those two officers who've been hailed as heroes for their role on the scene of the recent Bondi Beach attack have now released some more information about their recovery. And as you mentioned, it is good news. The family of Constable Jack Hibbert, who's lost his vision in one eye during the attack, said in a statement that he's now home from hospital, adding Hibbert will need space, support, and continued positive thoughts. Meanwhile, the family of Constable Scott Dyson, who had been in a medically induced coma since the tragic event on December 14th, undergoing almost daily surgery, is now awake for the first time. Let's go to Canada now, where on Monday, Prime Minister Mark Carney announced the name of the next ambassador to the U.S. The choice fell on Mark Wiseman, who in the past ran the investment fund of the Canada Pension Plan. His appointment comes at a critical time in relations between the two countries, as he will be involved in the review of their free trade agreement. And let's end this tour of the world here in Italy, where a familiar face was carrying the Olympic torch through the ruins of Pompeii. Yeah, it was Jackie Chan. The actor said it was a great honor to carry the torch because he says it represents the spirit of sport and humanity and carries a message of peace and love. The torch will be carried across Italy until it reaches Milan on February the 6th, where the Olympic ceremony for of course, the Winter Games will be held. Back to you, Jessica.
It will be here before we know it. Claudio, thanks so much. Well, coming up, the holidays can oftentimes mean gathering around the dinner table, sharing special moments with close family and friends. But for those who might be struggling with an eating disorder, this time of year can prove especially tough. So if you're feeling anxious or you know somebody who might be, we have some words of encouragement. Your weekly mental health check-in is next on Morning News Now. Staying on Health News Now with our weekly mental health check-in. This week, we're talking about people struggling with eating disorders during the holidays, plus one expert suggesting there's some science to the phrase time flies. Dr. Scott Lyons joins us now to help us break all this down and a little more. He is an integrative psychologist, the CEO of the Embody Lab, and the author of Addicted to Drama, Healing Dependency on Crisis and Chaos in Yourself and Others. Dr. Scott, good morning. Let's start with the eating disorders. We've been talking a lot on this show about this sensitive and very important topic. It's, of course, no secret that holidays can be a triggering time for people who struggle with this, all the food, all the drinks. Do you have any encouragement or suggestions for viewers who might be feeling anxious about all the food that's about to be served right now?
Yeah, I think, and good morning, happy holidays. 1 in 11 people in America will experience an eating disorder in their life, so this is a really important subject. And holidays are uniquely challenging because they're really organized around food and eating schedule and shared meals. And recovery is often built around structures, and holidays really disrupt timing and portion norms and predictability. So what routines can we really keep and focus on? It's also important that we don't pressure people to eat, and we can really focus on other rituals like relationships with family or playing board games. And I think it's really important to recognize that progress doesn't mean perfection. For those with an eating disorder, feeling activating and wanting to resort to old patterns doesn't mean something is failing. It just means that the holidays are amplifying unresolved dynamics around control and safety and belonging, and really reveal where compassion and support are still needed.
I love that. Now, when the holidays arrive, a lot of us finally get the chance to slow down. And that gives most of us time to think about, or even worse, fixate on the things that maybe they're not happy about. It could be work, personal relationships. What steps can our viewers take to help manage that stress and these thoughts at this time of year?
Yeah, so about 80% of adults report that mental health worsens around the holiday season. And that's because there's additional triggers like increased expectations, disrupted routines, family dynamics, loneliness and grief, financial pressures, all of those really compound. So some of the things we can really do is shift our objective from the holiday season being around peace to something more about it's about flexibility and capacity and really expanding our resilience to really not only deal with the stressors, but also take good self-care. We really want to protect the basics like sleep and meals and exercise. And we want to set boundaries early. So what have we learned from previous years that we can apply to this year? I love to bring a friend to the holiday party. It helps me feel more calm and settled. And, it's really important that while the holidays are around connections, we don't have to attend every gathering. We don't have to stay the whole time. We don't have to feel close to everyone or force togetherness. And the goal of the holidays isn't about perfection. It's really about protecting your mental health and choosing simultaneously what truly matters to you.
Good one for the moms to keep in mind right now. Finally, Santa will be here soon. And all week, my son has been saying he's taking forever. Meanwhile, I'm feeling like time is just going way too fast. I don't have enough time. And there's new research that shows that saying time flies, that there might actually be some science to it. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I love this topic. It's actually a big part of my next book, so I'm happy to talk about it. So one theory is why time feels faster as we age is it's actually kind of mathematical. So for a 5-year-old, a single year is only 20% of their entire life. But for a 50-year-old, it's about 2%. So each year literally takes up less space in memory, so it feels like it goes faster. But time doesn't actually speed up. That's just our perception of time that's altered by stress or capacity for focus or actually being stuck in routine. So another way of saying that is not having enough novelty in our life makes us feel like time is just speeding up and passing us by. So introduce small disruptions into your life, a new routine to work, new music on the holidays, new conversations for the holidays, or mindfully finding something new in old routines or rituals in the holidays. And all that will give you a sense of enhancement or feeling more present. So, aging isn't the problem as time is speeding up. It's really autopilot is. So find the novelty.
Oh, great. You've just made me aware of all of my problems with this. Dr. Scott, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Coming up, Super Bowl controversy before the head-to-head is even decided when Morning News Now returns. Why the expected debut of an all-AI ad is ruffling feathers off the field. We'll explain next. We're back with the latest on a controversial move by CBS to postpone a 60-minute story on Trump deportees being sent to an El Salvador prison. The new editor-in-chief there, Barry Weiss, pulled the report a day before it was set to air, prompting a lot of criticism from the correspondent behind the story. NBC News senior national correspondent Stephanie Gosk has more.
A battle at CBS News spilling into the public, with flagship broadcast 60 Minutes and new editor-in-chief Barry Weiss right at the center.
Did you think you were going to die there?
This segment on the inhumane conditions at a maximum security prison in El Salvador, where the U.S. government deported some undocumented immigrants, was supposed to air Sunday night. The promo even released on social media. But Weiss told show leadership to pull the segment late Saturday, in part because there was no interview with the Trump administration, according to a source at the network. Angry with the decision, correspondent Sharon Alfonsi emailed her fellow 60 Minutes colleagues, a copy of the email obtained by NBC News. Alfonsi writing in part, "The segment is factually correct. In my view, pulling it now after every rigorous internal check has been met is not an editorial decision, it is a political one." The veteran 60 Minutes correspondent says the story was cleared by editors after multiple screenings, and the Trump administration declined requests for an interview, adding in her email to colleagues, "The public will correctly identify this as corporate censorship." Weiss responding today, writing, "Holding stories that aren't ready for whatever reason happens every day in every newsroom." The conflict at 60 Minutes echoing a similar fight over a story about big tobacco in the 90s, made into the Hollywood movie The Insider.
Is it newsworthy? Yes. Are we going to air it? Of course not.
60 Minutes has been in the crosshairs of the Trump administration, the president mentioning the show as recently as Friday.
60 Minutes has treated me worse under the new ownership than they just keep treating me. They just keep hitting me. It's crazy.
Weiss says she looks forward to this important story airing, quote, when it's ready.
Thanks, Stephanie, for that report. And by the way, video of the segment did make its rounds on social media Monday afternoon after it apparently ran on a streaming platform owned by Global TV. That's a network that airs 60 Minutes in Canada. Well, moving from 60 Minutes to your Money Minute headlines, billionaire Larry Ellison is shaking things up in that heated TV tussle for Warner Brothers Discovery. NBC News business and economy reporter Emily Lorsch has your Money Minute. Hi, Emily.
Hey, Jessica. Good morning. That's right. Paramount has beefed up its bid. The company says now billionaire Larry Ellison, the CEO's father, has agreed to guarantee more than $40 billion. Netflix has also refinanced a portion of its planned nearly $60 billion of debt to sweeten its deal. WBD says the board will review Paramount's offer, but for now, it's sticking with Netflix. And Mercedes-Benz has agreed to pay nearly $150 million to settle allegations coming from a coalition of 50 attorneys general. They're claiming the automaker secretly installed devices in hundreds of thousands of cars that allowed them to exceed legal limits for nitrogen oxide that can cause respiratory illnesses and contributes to smog. Mercedes-Benz says the deal resolves all remaining legal proceedings, but that the company still considers the accusations unfounded and that it denies any liability. And finally, we're adding a little bit of time to today's Money Minute to look ahead to Super Bowl Sunday, but we're not talking about the game. This year marks a major shift in advertising, where artificial intelligence is no longer just a talking point. I sat down with Svedka's parent company, Sazerac, to talk about the vodka company's new AI commercial. Take a look. Super Bowl Sunday, a night showcasing human might and skill. No, not just football. We're talking about those iconic Super Bowl commercials. We shall prevail. From the 1984 Apple Macintosh ad to Budweiser's Tearjerker. But why deal with the real-life horse and puppy show when you can generate one? Yes, artificial intelligence is coming to the Super Bowl, not just in ads for tech like earlier this year.
When you're ready, tell me about the job that taught you the most.
But now, ads using the tech. Vodka brand Svedka will make its first ever Super Bowl commercial using AI to resurrect its 2-decade-old Fembot mascot in an
$8 million media buy.
It allows us to respond real time and have her react once we have that AI established.
And while concerns grow that the technology is replacing human jobs, Svedka says that's not quite happening yet.
It's required a lot more human handholding than other advertisements. So while it may be efficient in terms of agency spend, it's not necessarily cost efficient in terms of the resources involved in the production.
Did you spend less on this ad than you would have if you didn't use AI?
Probably. It'd probably be close, to be honest with you.
Svedka's parent company Sazerac is working with AI firm Silverside to make the ad. You may recognize Silverside's work from this Coca-Cola spot. The ad facing immediate backlash from viewers who found it soulless.
In this shot, we have a front plate that says some nonsense. 2 shots later, nothing to be found.
All of the heart and all of the storytelling is gone.
The end result is terrible.
It was hard to look at that. And then we looked at the real numbers behind what consumers were saying and what the public was responding to, and it was one of the best ads they have ever done.
Despite the criticism, Coca-Cola tells NBC News the ads actually tested well, getting good scores in independent ratings.
It's the most terrible time of the year.
McDonald's Netherlands also testing the waters with this AI-generated Christmas ad. It was taken down after people called it inauthentic. The company admitting the parody was a miss without mentioning AI. 54% of companies are using AI in the creative generation of their ads, according to a survey of advertising executives.
We're able to take something that humans are doing as a dance in mid-December and have it live for the biggest advertising stage in the world by early February. That really is something that AI has enabled for us.
The advertising industry now in a major transition.
It's incredibly frustrating.
Sam Tung is a storyboard artist.
I'd be lying if I said, I hadn't heard of artists who had been called in to fix AI work on commercials, or who have clients who used to call them who are now telling them, we're going to just try to do it with AI.
Earlier this month, ad giant Omnicom announced it's laying off more than 4,000 employees. According to a spokesperson, the cuts are to remove duplicate positions and trim unnecessary management layers. But those watching the industry say it's a bigger trend.
The industry is going to, unfortunately, have a painful couple of months or years.
And as AI moves center stage on the ad world's biggest night, will viewers revolt or gulp it down?
Now, Svedka is the first company to promote the fact that it's using AI in its first Super Bowl ad, Jessica. But other companies could still come out of the woodwork as we head into Super Bowl Sunday. And quite frankly, some companies can actually incorporate AI and not actually promote it. So I think we'll just have to wait and see what happens as we head towards Super Bowl Sunday to see if other brands follow suit.
It'll be so interesting. That'll be really the big headline the day after when we talk about the commercials for one of the first times. All right, Emily, thanks so much. Sticking with football, a major shakeup is coming to the NFL's most dominant team over the past decade. The Kansas City Chiefs announcing yesterday that they'll be moving from their historic home field at Arrowhead and into a $3 billion domed stadium. The team also announced that move will bring them across state lines from Missouri to Kansas. But it's not the end of the road at Arrowhead just yet. The Chiefs will continue to play at Arrowhead since their new stadium isn't expected to be ready until the 2031 season. And while big changes may be on the horizon, the Chiefs CEO is promising what matters most isn't.
The location of Chiefs games will change, but some things won't change. Our fans will still be the loudest in the NFL. Our games will still be the best place in the world to tailgate, and our players and coaches will be ready to compete for championships.
For the latest on this, let's bring in Jesse Newell from The Athletic. Jesse, good morning. First, can you just walk us through how we got here?
Yeah, this has sort of been a border war over the last year or so, just because a sales tax initiative, 3/8 of a cent in Kansas City, Missouri, Jackson County, where the stadium has been located, it failed last year, 58-42. That had both the Chiefs and the Royals on the ballot. And after that happened, the state of Kansas really got up and started to take its offer very seriously. So they approved what are called star bonds here in Kansas, and the potential to pay up to 70% of the stadium. It ended up being 60% of the stadium, but bipartisan agreement. You know, both sides of the aisle wanted to come together to bring the Chiefs potentially to the state of Kansas, and obviously they got the job done here with yesterday's announcement, and the Chiefs officially moving to Kansas starting in 2031.
So if Kansas is able to lure the Chiefs across the river, in addition to those star bonds and the tax you mentioned, was there anything else that they offered? And by the way, is this a done deal?
Yeah, it is a done deal. The big announcement was yesterday, obviously, was at the state capitol in Topeka, and there were Chiefs flags everywhere. Not something you're used to seeing in Kansas. 60% of the stadium will be paid for by these star bonds, which are collected from future sales tax generation in that district in Kansas. So that'll leave about $1.6 billion to the Hunt family, which owns the Chiefs. But the other potential for this is for it to be big and for it to be something that brings people to the area for generations. The thing about that is a Super Bowl is one potential. I know the Chiefs are expecting to have a Super Bowl in Kansas City. I know that sounds kind of weird in February for the weather that we have around here, but that's one of their visions, is to be able to have a Super Bowl and also other big events like Final Fours, potentially the college football playoff. And so the potential to bring that was not there for a renovated Arrowhead Stadium. It was built in 1972, and outdoors is not going to play the part for that sort of thing. But for a new dome stadium in Kansas, now they're thinking big.
What are you hearing from the fans in all this? We know that Arrowhead Stadium is the third oldest stadium in the NFL. It's been the Chiefs' home for over 50 years. There's a love story between Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift that kind of started there. I'm just curious how ticket holders feel.
Yeah, it really is split. And this is sort of different for the Chiefs because the one thing that's brought people from Kansas and Missouri together has been the Chiefs over state lines. And right now, it's something that separates them. Like you said, there's so much history with Arrowhead Stadium. It was the third oldest stadium, as you said, only behind Soldier Field in Chicago and Lambeau Field in Green Bay. And so this had the potential, if they were going to renovate it, to be one of the historic places in the NFL. But now the Chiefs obviously going to move and go into a newer stadium, one with more potential. But yeah, there are a lot of people hurt. Missouri tried to up its offer across the state lines, but in the end, this was just simpler for the people in the state of Kansas because they only had to work, the Chiefs, with star bonds on that side. On the state of Missouri, they had to work with city government, with county government, with the mayor's office in Kansas City. And so all those things coming together were pretty complicated. The Chiefs chose the simpler option and the more grand option. And we'll see how this turns out in 2031 with some of these big events they expect to get.
So let's talk about the team itself for a minute here. Their franchise player, Patrick Mahomes, is obviously out for the season with that injury. The Chiefs will not make the playoffs this year after reaching the Super Bowl 5 out of the last 6 years. Do you see this team at a crossroads right now?
Well, I think they're looking in the mirror for sure. And this is a team that has had so much success. That's why both sides of the state line sort of gotten a bidding war for this team, is because it has been sort of the crown jewel of the area for so long. But you talk about Patrick Mahomes. He's the biggest part of this. If he can come back here to start week one from his knee injury, he's going to rehab as much as he can, as quickly as he can to do that. I still see the Chiefs as contenders in future years, obviously. But there are some things in the offseason they have to address. They have to look at roster-wise to figure out how they can get back toward the top of the NFL. This is the first year since 2014 they have not made the playoffs. So it's going to be sort of a different winter around here, around these parts. They're not used to not seeing their Chiefs in the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't know what you guys are going to do. Jesse Newell, great stuff. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Coming up, the airport worker who's adding a little soul to that stressful holiday hop. The saxophone serenades greeting passengers at one of America's busiest airports. That's next on Morning News Now. Welcome back. As millions prepare to navigate the busy airports during the Christmas travel season, one Southwest Airlines employee is trying to add a little music to people's holiday travels. Reporter Gage Goulding from our affiliate in Houston has this story.
If they can move that would be amazing.
I want you to meet Hugo Clemente, someone that I'd say is pretty amazing.
I don't know if you want a shot of me throwing trash.
He's one of the guys and gals who stock Southwest planes at Hobby Airport in Houston.
We load sodas, snacks, any materials the flight attendants might need.
That includes his saxophone. You see, one day Hugo just decided he was going to serenade the passengers on the planes he's working.
I brought my sax thinking maybe I could brighten somebody's day. And I think the first little kid I saw with a big old giant smile on my face with a
Christmas Carol, boy, that was it. I knew I was going to keep doing it.
And every time he pulls out that sax, the cameras aren't far behind, and the smiles stretch as wide as the wings on this 737.
She says, we have a surprise for you. I said, are we singing? She said, no, it's something better, and I think it's fabulous. He's so good.
In my heart, I'm just still a band nerd, that just never got rid of his horns.
And just last week, he was able to surprise that one passenger who made him pick up that horn some 30 years ago.
I found out that my mom got moved from one plane to another before she left Dallas and was going to be on my plane. She just starts bawling, crying, screams back to everybody else in the plane, "That's my son, that's my son." People, I think, are just caught up in how fast-paced our life is. It all stops for a minute. It just slows down for a second, and it's all smiles. All smiles. Everybody's happy.
Do you also get a bit of that too?
I get all of it. It's a little unfair because I feel so happy seeing other people happy. It gives me joy. And any musician knows the healing power of music.
I think there's a little lesson we can all learn from Hugo's look on life. We're all capable of sharing smiles with complete strangers.
Our thanks to Gage Goulding for that story. We are ending this hour with a true labor of love. Volunteers at a children's hospital in New York City spent their own money on thousands of dazzling lights and decorations to create this spectacular scene for young patients in recovery. NBC News New York digital reporter Kay Ingram takes us down the holiday hallway.
It's the sound of the holidays here at Memorial Sloan Kettering.
It's Christmas, what can I say?
Where adorable 9-year-old Noah can be found walking the holiday hallway for the very first time.
A lot of details, and like my favorite part, that they could put like trains, like there are a lot of trains like on the ceiling.
We've been here since October. I just want to make the kids and the people here happy on the holiday season. It's impressive.
From intricate light installations to a handmade carousel.
We got all the rides, we got the cyclone.
Right down to a replica of the Coney Island Boardwalk. There's no shortage of joyful sights to see.
Very beautiful, and I don't know how they built this, honestly, but it is pretty cool. Because it has like all these houses, it's like a town.
Stretching the length of 3 city blocks, every inch is decked out.
30 years ago, there was this mechanic, and he took a toilet seat and put some lights on it, and he hung it on the door.
The elaborate display today, much different from how it all began 30 years ago.
We all say, you know what, we're all going to do something here.
This is a hospital-wide operation to bring joy to patients like Noah during the holidays.
Oh, that looks so good. Thank you.
Being able to bring some sense of normalcy to them.
Yeah, we're good.
I just wish he and all the people who's getting treated here can just go back to their families. He's treating for Ewing sarcoma, which is a pediatric cancer, and he's doing very well.
And there's even wall space for visitors to pen their own wishes. For Noah, it's simple.
I am Noah, and I wish a Merry Christmas.
Love it. Kay Ingram, thanks so much. That does it for this hour of Morning News Now, but the news continues right now.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.